The 1984 World Series was the championship series of Major League Baseball's 8-4 season. The 81st edition of the World Series, it was a best-of-7 playoff played between the American League champion Detroit Tigers and the National League champion San Diego Padres. The Tigers won the series, 4-1. This was the city of Detroit's first sports championship since the Tigers themselves won the 1968 World Series. This was the first World Series that Peter Ueberroth presided over as commissioner. Ueberroth began his tenure on October 1st, succeeding Bowie Kuhn. Ueberroth had been elected as Kuhn's successor prior to the 1984 season, but did not take over until the postseason as he was serving as the chairman of the 1984 Summer Olympics, which ran from July 28 through August 12. This was the last World Series in which the designated hitter was used for games played in the NL team's ballpark in the World Series, as in even-numbered years, the DH would be used in all games, which was first instituted in 1976. The next World Series did not use the DH, as odd-numbered years saw the DH rule not in force for the World Series. Starting in 1986, the DH would only be used in games played at the AL Representatives Park. The San Diego Padres won the National League West Division by 12 games over both the Atlanta Braves and the Houston Astros, then defeated the Chicago Cubs, 3-2, in the National League Championship Series. The Detroit Tigers won the American League East Division by 15 games over the Toronto Blue Jays, then swept the Kansas City Royals, 3-0, in the American League Championship Series. The World Series was scheduled to start in the National League Park, but Major League Baseball actually had a contingency plan to change things and start the World Series in the American League Park in the event that the Cubs won the NLCS. This would have allowed the Wrigley Field daytime games to be over the weekend, such that the only lost primetime game would have been on Friday, October 12th. The 1984 World Series was a rematch between managers Sparky Anderson of Detroit and Dick Williams of San Diego. The two had previously faced off in the 1972 World Series, with Anderson managing the Cincinnati Reds and Williams helming the victorious Oakland Athletics. The 1984 series was Anderson's fifth overall as a manager. In addition to the 1972 Fall Classic, he had also managed the Reds during the 1970 World Series, which they lost to the Baltimore Orioles, and served as skipper during Cincinnati's back-to-back World Championships in 75 and 76. Anderson's counterpart, Williams, was managing in his fourth World Series. He had headed the Boston Red Sox during the 1967 Impossible Dream season, when they won their first pennant in 21 years in a tight race over the Tigers, Minnesota Twins, and Chicago White Sox. After his Athletics won the 1972 World Series, Williams again led them to victory in the 1973 series over the New York Mets. Prior to 1984, only three managers, Joe McCarthy, Al Dark and Yogi Berra, had won pennants in both leagues. Nobody had ever won World Series as a manager in both leagues, thus ensuring that the winning manager of the 1984 series would be the first to do so. The 1984 World Series was also a battle of sorts between the multi-million-dollar American fast food chains. Domino's Pizza founder Tom Monahan owned the Tigers, while McDonald's founder Ray Kroc, who died several months before the '84 World Series, owned the Padres. The series was informally known as the Fast Food Fall Classic. It would feature the first World Series game at Jack Murphy Stadium for Game 1 and the final World Series game at Tiger Stadium for Game 5. By May 24, 1984, the Detroit Tigers had just won their ninth straight game, with Jack Morris on the mound winning his ninth game of the season. The Tigers' record stood at 35-5, a major league record. In the next three games they would get swept by the Seattle Mariners and settle down to play .500 ball over the next 40 games. But in the end, they would wind up with a franchise record 104 wins and become only the third team in MLB history to lead the league wire to wire. These Tigers were strung up the middle, featuring all-stars at each middle position, with catcher Lance Parrish setting a career-high in home runs with 33, the record-setting tandem of Lou Whitaker at second base and Alan Trammell at shortstop. They played together from 1977 to 1995, and solid center fielder Chet Lemon. In addition to Morris, the pitching staff was anchored by starters Dan Petrie and Milt Wilcox, with eventual Cy Young Award and Most Valuable Player winner Willie Hernandez closing. The Detroit Tigers signed ageless wonder free agent Darrell Evans, their first free agent signing since Tito Fuentes in '77 prior to the season, and acquired first baseman Dave Bergman in a trade with the Philadelphia Phillies that also brought them the aforementioned Hernandez. Bergman would settle in as the Tigers' everyday first baseman, providing steady glove work. And of course there was Mr. Clutch, right fielder Kirk Gibson, who had a breakout year with 27 home runs, 29 stolen bases, 91 RBIs, and a .282 batting average. After winning 2 world championships with the 1975 and 1976 Cincinnati Reds, manager Sparky Anderson was primed to win his first in the American League in his 5th full season with the Detroit Tigers. Anderson had proved to be somewhat prophetic, as he had made a bold statement in mid-'79 when he joined the Tigers that his team would be a pennant winner within 5 years. Williams was in his 3rd season with the San Diego Padres after leading them to identical of 500 records in '82 and '83. 1984 would mark only the 2nd time in Padre history that the team would finish over 500, the other being an '84 and '78 record in 1978. With the Padres' NL pennant in '84, Williams became the 2nd manager to take 3 teams to the World Series. He had previously taken the '67 Red Sox and the '72 and '73 Athletics to the Fall Classic. The Padres set a franchise record for victories with 92 games in '84, being led by 2 veterans, first baseman Steve Garvey and third baseman Greg Nettles. Statistically, this team was not overwhelming, with Nettles and Kevin McReynolds leading the team with just 20 home runs. The team eventually would lose McReynolds in Game 4 of the NLCS due to a broken wrist. No player came close to 100 RBIs or had over 30 doubles in the regular season, although Tony Gwynn won the first of his 8 National League batting titles by hitting for a .351 average with 213 hits. The pitching staff was average, a staff of 20-somethings, and a 33-year-old closer, Goose Gossage, who was signed as a free agent from the New York Yankees. Eric Shaw led the staff with 15 wins, with Edwardson and lefty Mark Thurman having identical records. But the Sterling bullpen, headed by Gossage and Craig "Lefty" Lefferts, held the staff together enough to take this team to the big show, although they would falter and get ripped by the Tiger Bats, losing the series in 5 games. To get to the series, the Padres had to overcome a 2-games-to-none deficit against the Chicago Cubs in the NLCS, rallying to win the final 3 games. The '84 Padres adopted Ray Parker Jr.'s Ghostbusters as their theme song, while the '79 Pittsburgh Pirates using Sister Sledge's "We Are Family" as their theme song. During their playoff series against the Chicago Cubs, the Tigers struck first in Game 1 when Lou Whitaker doubled to lead off the top of the first and scored on Alan Trammell's single, but their starter Jack Morrison, 19th game winner during the season, struggled in the bottom half, as he surrendered 2-out singles to Steve Garvey and Greg Nettles, followed by a 2-run double to Terry Kennedy. Padre starter Mark Thurman took a 2-1 lead into the 5th, but then surrendered a crucial 2-out, 2-run homer to Larry Herndon. Nettles and Kennedy both singled to open the San Diego 6th, but Morris snuffed out their momentum by striking out the rest of the side. Kurt Bevock started what looked to be a comeback with a lead-off double in the 7th, but was thrown out at third while attempting to stretch a hit into a triple. Despite the close call, Morris remained focused and set down the last 9 remaining Padre batters for a complete game 3-2 victory. In Game 2, Lou Whitaker, Alan Trammell and Kirk Gibson hit consecutive singles to lead off the top of the first and put the Tigers up 1-0. After Gibson stole second, Trammell scored on Lance Parrish's sacrifice fly, then Darrell Evans's RBI single made it 3-0 Tigers. Padre starter Edwardson was pulled after just 2/3 of an inning. In the bottom of the inning, the Padres cut the lead to 3-1 on Greg Nettles' sacrifice fly. Then in the 4th, Bobby Brown's RBI ground out made it 3-2 Tigers. Kurt Bevock then evened the series at 1-1 with a 3-run home run in the 5th inning off Dan Petrie. To date, this remains the only World Series victory in Padres history. Andy Hawkins earned the win with 5 1/3 shutout innings, while Craig Lefferts pitched a 3-inning save. Game 2 at Jack Murphy Stadium marked the last MLB playoff game to date where the DH was used in a National League ballpark. Since then, any World Series game in an American League park uses the DH. Previously, the DH was used in alternating World Series, while pitchers bat in the NL parks. The next time the DH rule was used in a National League park was during a regular season series between the Toronto Blue Jays and Philadelphia Phillies during the 2010 season. By the time the 1984 World Series rolled around, Tiger Stadium, built in 1912, became the oldest ballpark to ever host a World Series game. That record was eclipsed by Boston's Fenway Park, opened April 20, 1912, the same day as Tiger Stadium, which hosted in 1986, 2004, 2007 and 2013, and then by Chicago's Wrigley Field, opened in 1914, which hosted the Fall Classic in 2016 until being reclaimed by Fenway Park in 2018. Tim Lawler failed to make it out of the second inning as Detroit erupted for 4 runs. Chet Lemon singled with 1 out, then with 2 outs. Marty Castillo's home run made it 2-0 Tigers. Lou Whitaker then walked and scored on Alan Trammell's double. A walk and single loaded the bases before Greg Booker relieved Lawler and walked Larry Herndon to force in another run. The Padres got on the board in the third when back-to-back lead-off singles off of Milt Wilcox was followed by an RBI ground out by Steve Garvey. But in the bottom of the inning, Booker walked 3 to load the bases with 2 outs. Greg Harris in relief hit Kirk Gibson with a pitch to force in the Tigers' last run. The Padres scored their last run in the 7th on Greg Nettles' sacrifice fly with runners on second and third off of Bill Scherer. Willie Hernandez pitched 2 1/3 innings of 1-hit relief for the save. The 5-2 victory gave the Tigers a 2-1 series lead. Alan Trammell drilled a pair of 2-run homers in the first and third innings to account for all of Detroit's offense as the Tigers beat Eric Shaw to take a 3-1 lead in the series. Jack Morris got his second series victory in another complete game effort, allowing 2 runs on Terry Kennedy's home run in the second and a wild pitch in the 9th to Kennedy that scored Steve Garvey, and 5 hits. For the 4th consecutive game, the Padres' starting pitcher did not make it past the 3rd inning, as the Tigers jumped on Mark Thurmond for 3 runs in the 1st inning. Lou Whitaker singled to lead off, then Kirk Gibson homered an out later, followed by consecutive singles by Lance Parrish, Larry Herndon and Chet Lemon. The Padres got on the board in the 3rd when Bobby Brown hit a lead-off single off of Dan Petrie, moved to 3rd on 2 ground outs and scored on Steve Garvey's single. The Padres rallied to tie the score in the 4th when, with runners on second and third, Brown's sacrifice fly and Alan Wiggins' RBI single scored a run each to knock Petrie out of the game, but the Tigers loaded the bases in the 5th off of Andy Hawkins when Rusty Kuntz's sacrifice fly put them up 4-3. Parrish's home run in the 7th off of Rich Gossage made it 5-3 Tigers, but the Padres cut the lead back to 1 on Kurt Bevac's home run off closer Willie Hernandez. Kirk Gibson came to the plate in the bottom of the 8th for the Tigers with runners on second and third and 1 out. Gibson had homered earlier in the game, and Padres manager Dick Williams strolled to the mound to talk to Goose Gossage, seemingly with the purpose of ordering him to walk Gibson intentionally. Just before the at-bat, Gibson made a $10 bet flashing 10 fingers with his manager Sparky Anderson that Gossage, who had dominated Gibson in the past, would pitch to him. Gossage talked Williams into letting him pitch to Gibson, and Gibson responded with a 3-run blast into the upper deck to clinch the series for the Tigers. Gibson wound up driving in 5 runs and scoring 3, including a run that gave Detroit the lead for good when he raced home on a pop-up sacrifice fly by little-used reserve Rusty Kuntz. In the 9th, Willie Hernandez closed out the series for the Tigers by getting Tony Gwynn to fly to Larry Herndon in left field for the final out. While Alan Trammell won the Sport magazine variation of the World Series Most Valuable Player award, the official one, Jack Morris won the Babe Ruth variation. After being fired by the Cincinnati Reds in '78, Sparky Anderson was hired by the Tigers in June '79. Anderson, who had led the Reds to series victories in '75 and '76, became the first manager to win a World Championship in both the American and National Leagues. Game 5 had a starting time of 4:45 p.m., following a 1:30 p.m. start for Game 4. These were the last outdoor World Series games to start earlier than prime time in the eastern United States. Game 6 in the 87, the last daytime World Series contest, was indoors at the Metrodome in Minneapolis. In addition, no World Series has ended as early as October 14 since '84. In fact, with the exception of Game 1 in '89 played on October 14, no World Series has begun earlier than October 15 since '84. Subsequent expansions of Major League Baseball's postseason, the Best of 5 League Championship Series becoming Best of 7 affairs in '85, the addition of wild card teams and the Best of 5 Division Series in '94, and the introduction of one-game wild-card play-ins in 2012 have made earlier World Series calendar dates impossible, even when the regular season has ended on the last Sunday in September.